Alright, so I'm recording this video to show you the reason I'm changing out my turn signal switch on my 67 Cadillac. If you turn on the turn signals left and right, they both work. However, the brake light does not work, and I traced it back and I believe the problem's in the signal switch. So I'll show you. Turn on the turn signal. Alright, so she pushed the brake pedal and only one brake light is working. So let off of it. Turn on the signal. Alright, hold it up. As you can see, the right turn signal works, and that's the same filament in the bulb that is not burning. So the signal comes through the same wire to that as it does brake light. Turn on the other one. As you can see, the left turn signal works. All right, turn them off. Hit the brake pedal. All right, but only the right brake light works. So if you trace it in the drawing, you can see that the brake signal and the turn signals, the only place that they meet each other is in the turn signal switch. So I'm going to replace the turn signal switch. Plus my turn signal switch is a kind of a weak switch, the way it feels when you turn it left and right. So that's another reason I'm going to do it. Okay, so in order to change the turn signal switch out, I've got to take the steering wheel off. On this car, there's 3 screws holding it in on the back, and you got to take the 3 screws out. I've already taken the bottom one out, but there's one in each one of the 3 points of the horn button. Okay, so I took the 3 screws out, got the horn button off. Now I've got to take loose the big nut that's in the middle of the steering wheel, and it's a 3/4 inch socket. So you loosen it up. Okay, so I took the big nut off the steering wheel. Now I've got to use a steering wheel puller to remove the steering wheel. And you use this puller, and you can either buy one or rent one. They're pretty cheap either way, I think. So you got to line this up with the 2 holes, put the 2 bolts in there. So with the steering wheel puller on, this is what it's going to look like. You got the 2 bolts threaded in the 2 holes. You got the puller setting up here. So now you're just going to take the same 3/4 inch socket and you're going to tighten it. And it should come off really fairly easy. All right, so now I've got the steering wheel off. You have to take a Phillips screwdriver, a smaller one, or regular medium sized, and remove this signal arm, the signal switch lever. And then it looks like there's going to be 3 larger Phillips screws to hold the switch on. Looks like we got one at the top, bottom, and over here. So you can see I got the brand new switch here, and it has the 3 holes in it. It mounts like this. Has the 3 holes in it, and so I'm going to start taking loose the 3 bolts that hold it on. Alright, as you can see on the new switch, it has this plug and the smaller plug. So we just need to go up under the dash and unplug those 2. You can see the half round plug here and the smaller plug here. The smaller plug is for the cornering lights that shines when you turn on the turn signal. It shines in the direction that you're turning. It's a Cadillac thing, and I'm sure it's on some of the other cars from back then too. You can see I unplugged them. They have latches on each side. Not really difficult to unplug, but I don't have another cameraman, so I couldn't do it on the camera. But you can see they run up the side of the steering column, and there's probably a couple spots that they attach. We'll have to find those spots and so we can more easily pull them out. Okay, so as you can see, there's no way that big connector is coming up through there, no matter how I turn it. So there's a snap ring that holds this bearing in on the upper part. You know there's a risk when you take these bearings loose, so you have to be really careful not to destroy the bearing. Yeah, this is a little more involved than I originally thought it would be, but we're still good so far. So after I took the snap ring off, this part just slid right off. Bearing stayed intact. Now there's a big spring here. I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna slide this collar off. I think this piece is going to slide right off too. And hopefully we get enough stuff off soon where we don't have to take any more off. So I'm just taking an O-ring pick and pulling this up through here. You see there's kind of a key cut in it here, so when it goes back, we'll make sure we have it turned the right way. All right, so I had to take off this piece and then a couple other parts that went up through there. Had to get it all back together right, but now you can see we have a clear path to get the cable through. All right, so I had to slip the shifter piece off. It just came right off at this point. I've already got everything else took off. Like I said, there's more stuff than I wanted to take loose, but I didn't see any other way of doing it. So we'll see how it all goes back together. All right, so I slipped this piece back down in there, fed the wires through. So now I've got to go through and put these other pieces back in the order I took them out. Starting with this piece. You can see there's a slot that this has to go down in. And there's a slot on the other side that it has to go in. The trick is it just has to go down evenly. And this is the piece that the gear shifter clicks into as you're moving it. You can see it doesn't hold in place without all the parts in there. The next piece that went in is this round piece. And right now I'm trying to see if there's a specific way it has to go. I don't think so. Looks like it just slides in place. And then there's this piece that goes in there around that. And then the spring sits in on top of that. that, I get back to this piece, the part that the switch actually screws into. And there's a... So one thing that's important to remember that I did not is we got to put this piece on before we put the switch down through it. It has to go on before the switch, because the switch can't go through it otherwise. So I got to pull my wires back out, which I didn't really get very far with it, and run them back down through it. All right, so I've got to pull them back out, which is not, I mean, I haven't gotten very far, so it's not too hard to do at this point. Good time to remember it if you're... Now I've got to slide this collar on, and then I can slide the wires back through. So now I can put this piece back through. And it has the two slots. Makes it where you can only really put it one way. And then I slide this piece back in. And then I slide this piece back in. And then the spring. And then this piece goes back on. And if you remember, we got a snap ring that holds it on. All right, so I finally got the snap ring back on. Had to do it twice because I didn't have this far enough down on there. You got to put this on before you put this on. And this, they had a GM tool for doing this. And of course, without the tool, it's very hard to do, but you can do it. It can be done. I got my daughter to snap it on while I was holding it down. So now I got it all the way on. Now all I've got to do is tighten up I've got to put the screws in it and tighten those up. All right, so I got the switch put in. Putting the snap ring on there was extremely hard to do. There's a GM tool that they used. I don't know what that would have been, but it required two people to put that ring back on. You had to line it up, and I used two hammer handles and pushed in on each side of it till I could get it far enough in to put the snap ring on. And now I put the switch in and I tested it already, and I'll show a video of that, but it worked good. It fixed the taillight problem that we had. Everything's gonna be good now. I was reading in the manual and I found that you pull this little rubber knob off of here and there's a Phillips screw behind it. So now it's just a matter of putting the steering wheel back on, and to put the steering wheel back on, you literally just set it on there and tighten down the big bolt right here, and you tighten it down until it's tight. And then you want to line it up straight. But it's pretty simple, that part is. Alright, so I put the signal switch in, and the taillights are working correct now. Right now they're just on park. We push the brake pedal. Push the brake pedal. When you push the brake pedal, both taillights come on now like they're supposed to. Turn on the signal, Emma. So, as you can see with the signal on, push the brake pedal with the signal on. It works the right way also. So the signal switch was the problem.